Yeah, Prince. So anyway, hello folks, Shin Tiger Curl here, that dude in the straw hat, or dude sans the straw hat for this particular video. And I couldn't do a video about this because everybody knows I had oral surgery a couple of weeks ago and I was still recuperating, convalescing. And now some context for this. It was on April 20th, earlier, I think last week. And I just heard that Chyna died. Jermaine Lawler, the professional wrestler. The video of my tribute to her will be coming up shortly. And I was just recuperating from her, and then I hear that Prince died. Now, there were a lot of times, and this is the internet, I was unsure what to believe about this because there have been a lot of times where a celebrity has been there have been always those fake news reports about a celebrity dying or what have you, or those cruel jokes. I mean, if you remember when Michael Jackson died, there were so many reports of other celebrities dying on that same day. I didn't know what to believe because it just felt like an epidemic of celebrity deaths. But I was unsure about what to think about this one. All I knew officially was that the police got called to Prince's home in Paisley Park, and that someone had died. They didn't say who it was, but in the back of my mind, it was like, it can't be Prince. I hope it's not Prince. Then, about 30 minutes later, CNN reported that it was indeed Prince. And I was inconsolable. It's just, I was upset. I spent a good 10-15 minutes just weeping uncontrollably. And I know people like to say that they really shouldn't give a damn about celebrity deaths and what have you. I have a few friends who don't give a shit about celebrity deaths, but it means that much to me. I actually unfriended a person, whoever I wasn't talking to, because she just was making fun of my grief, because I didn't know how to really express myself after it. I wasn't making no bones about it. I was crying because, for me, I've said this before on my Twitter, my Facebook, on my Tumblr, but Prince was the soundtrack of my life. He was one of those artists he was one of those musicians who truly deserve the title of artist. I mean, there are musicians, there are singers and rappers and guitar players and all these other sort of people, but very few of them deserve the title of artist. And by artist, I mean someone who is so good at their particular chosen field that it is borderline art. And that's what Prince, like Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, taken from us too soon by AIDS. David Bowie, even though I wasn't a really hardcore fan of his, I recognized that he had a magnificent genius when it came to music. Michael Jackson. What more do I need to be said about Michael Jackson? But Prince, as you can see, as I showed at the beginning, this is Prince's Controversy album. My father dug this out of our attic. We have like a whole bunch of records, and we don't have anything to play them on. And this is the one that my parents used to play for me all the time when I was a kid. This, among others, I even have two more over here. The Bad album, Michael Jackson's third solo album. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. This was a shit back in the day. And surprisingly enough, the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yeah, we had all that shit, but Prince was special to me because it's just like Mike was, in the same vein, that he had a masterful understanding of tone, of sound, of emotion, how he can invoke emotion through music. And he has a veritable, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Purple Rain. I saw Purple Rain when I was just a little boy alongside my sister. I love that movie, and of course I love the theme Purple Rain. I loved it so much that I actually sung it for karaoke one night a couple of years back. I got a standing ovation from it, even though I couldn't do it justice. That's how, and Prince, I mean, to give a laundry list of my favorite songs offhand, I can't really. Purple Rain, Little Red Corvette, Raspberry Beret, When Doves Cry, Thieves in the Temple Tonight, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, let's see, Controversy, Get Off, Diamonds and Pearls, and that's just the ones I could name offhand. I know there are more Prince songs out that I love out there. I just can't remember them. But this is just the stuff offhand. 9 songs that I can remember offhand for Prince. You can't really say that about any other artist except for like Michael Jackson or something like that. But yeah, Prince was a phenom. He could do it all. I mean, in his first album, he played virtually every instrument on the album himself. According to a lot of people, there was literally you have an easier time asking to say which musical instrument that Prince can't play. He was a prodigious guitar player. I'd say he was one of the greatest guitar players since Jimi Hendrix. There are very few guitarists out there who could make their guitar sing, and that's how it felt with him. Like his guitar was singing along with us. His vocal range was unbelievable. He could go low with baritone, and in the next note hit those high notes higher than fucking Mariah Carey. And like I said, he was an artist who was just so prolific. I mean, even after his death, we just discovered that there is a literal vault of unreleased material that Prince produced, like 100 that could fill 100 albums and 3 separate movies and unused tracks he just didn't thought were any good. I mean, he's worked with just about every major celebrity and star out there, and to make it, and he was just such a cool individual. You can say a lot about who is an artist nowadays. I mean, I got into it with somebody because of the use of the word genius, because there's a lot of artists out there who use the word genius for themselves. I'm looking at you, Kanye. While they're good, they're not equated to Prince's level of genius, because he was tempered by his humility. Prince was so humble. He would help anyone who needed help, whether in the studio or in real life. Everyone seemed to have a story about Prince helping them, about his generosity. He really couldn't talk about it because of his faith as a Jehovah's Witness, in that he wasn't allowed to talk about it. And he did so much for his community and for his friends and for family. He just was so giving, and he just didn't want people to know about that. But since his passing, all this stuff is coming out about how he was just so giving, how he would do this for people and do that for people, and didn't really want any credit for it, because he felt that the cause that he was championing, it was bigger than him. And his influence in pop culture is amazing. I'm just gushing about this and he was introduced to a whole new generation thanks to Dave Chappelle. The Chappelle Show. If you don't remember, Chappelle Show had a small segment called Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories, because one of their cast members was Charlie Murphy, who is the older brother of Eddie Murphy. And having a superstar brother, he had an opportunity to tell a lot of stories about his encounters with various famous celebrities. The first one he did, and probably the more famous one, was his numerous encounters with the late great Rick James. The second one he did was about an encounter he had with Prince, and Prince was played magnificently by Dave Chappelle. And the story goes that a bored Prince challenges Charlie Murphy and his friends to a game of basketball, and despite what everyone originally believed, Prince beat his ass in basketball. And I only recently found this out, that he did an interview earlier and later on, a few years later, where someone asked, "Hey, is that story about Charlie Murphy about Charlie Murphy in the basketball game true?" And Prince was like, "Yeah, it's true. I beat his ass." And it wasn't really that bad. Like, it's not that I was so good. It's just that Charlie was so bad. And a picture has circulated around the internet recently of Charlie Murphy laid out on the ground in sweats and Prince standing over him next to a basketball goal. So I have to believe that story is true. Last week, Saturday Night Live dedicated an entire episode to Prince, who was a frequent guest on that show as a musical guest. And of course his performances were amazing. And Jimmy Fallon was of course telling his stories about how he met Prince and what have you. And they even showed some unreleased footage from the 40th anniversary show from the 40th anniversary show that took place last year, celebrating the 40-year anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and how Prince gave an impromptu performance and he tore the house down because he's fucking Prince. And it's just so amazing. I could go on and on, but I'm going to tell a Prince story myself. And for those of you who read my fan fiction online, you will probably like this. I've mentioned this on a little bit on my Tumblr, and I've mentioned this a little bit on my Twitter. I made a post about this to the Pearl Shipping fan club that I'm a part of on Facebook, as well as on the Pearl Shipping Vaults forum. But for those of you who don't know, a couple of years back, I was not writing fan fiction. I had lost my drive. I really didn't think it was all that good. Then I started watching Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which is my favorite of the Pokemon series. And I started becoming a Pearl shipper, where I thought that Ash and Dawn would make a great couple. I'm not even going to talk. I got videos and videos talking about that shit. You can watch those, but this is my story. So anyway, I was on the Cerebi.net forums, one of the biggest Pokemon forums in the world. And while I was reading up on some spoilers for the upcoming episodes, my sister comes over. Sister is a high school dance teacher, and I can blame her for my love of Prince, because she loves Prince, and my brother-in-law really loves Prince. I'll get to him later. And she brings over I think a best of CD for him, and she was trying to write a routine, so she needed some place to go. So as I was reading, no joke, she comes up and plays outside of my room. She starts playing Diamonds and Pearls, and that was one of my favorite Prince songs growing up back in the 90s. And that was the first time I'd heard it in a long, long time. And as I was listening to it, and I was looking at some pictures, some Pearl shipping pictures, and then something just snapped in me. Like, my writer's blood got working again. And I just remember just getting on the computer, and I just started typing. I just started typing a little short story. And it was better than my old work, which is primarily Digimon. It was so good. I'm like, did I really write this? It was such a vast improvement from my old work. And I posted. That was the very first Pearl shipping fic I ever wrote. It's still on Cerebi forums. It's still there. I know it. And then I started writing another one. Then another one. I decided, you know what? I'm going to start writing again. And I was listening to Diamonds and Pearls when I penned the first chapter of what would be my most popular work to date, Ash and Dawn Together. So yeah, someone asked me why I should, on the Pearl shipping Vault shout-out board, asked me why am I mentioning Prince's death on the forum when it just talks about Pearl shipping. And this is an answer to that. The answer is that without Prince, I would not have gotten back into I would not have gotten back into writing. For those of you who out there who read my work, you can hold up. This man is responsible for that work. This man, without this effeminate badass right here, I would not have, you would not be, Ash and Dawn Together would not exist. It would not have been written. So, for those of you who don't know who this guy is, you can thank him for at least that. And one of my dearest friends, I won't give her name, I'll just call her Querida, because that's what she is to me. She did not know who Prince was. And I started sharing with her just with some random songs, some just to show her, to explain my emotions that go to her. And I hope that she really understands how great Prince was, because we'll never see another kind like his. He was a genuine artiste. His music, I can offer my brother-in-law, my brother-in-law is the band director of the Stephen F. Austin High School Band, the Sonic Boom. It has gotten nationwide attention. They've even been asked to go to Washington and perform for the president. They are that damn good. And for the last 10 years or so that he has been band director, they've been doing Prince songs. I've seen my brother-in-law's stack of collection of music, and it's so similar to mine. It's so eclectic and weird. Like he's the only one of the few black guys I know. The only black guy I know that has a Best of Queen album. And he also had lots of Prince albums, and they played Prince, and he has gone on record on his own Facebook, and he talked about Prince, talked about that his work could be equated to something like Mozart, that it is an unbelievable mastery of sound, emotion, and imagery. Prince was the man. He threw away conventions of what a black man is supposed to look like. Instead of looking like big and hard, he looked so slim and effeminate, but yet he was masculine in his femininity. I mean, it didn't matter what his sexual orientation was. I even said this to someone on Facebook who was deriding him, like, man, Prince was such a fag, he was so gay, and he just would have come out and say it. And I just said to him, look, Prince is not straight. Prince was not gay. What was he? He was Prince. And so many people have come, and the haters have come out and said some shit like we're just less one nigger faggot or some other stuff, and I shut them down with this statement. I just said, look. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Regardless of whatever you say or call him, this is an unequivocal fact. You still you. He Prince. You can call him a faggot or whatever you want. He's still Prince. You're gonna go back to your 9-to-5 job with or whatever it is that you do when you leave this computer and stop talking all that hard shit. He's still gonna be Prince. Regardless of whatever you say, he is still going to be Prince. Because that is the best definition you can say about him. Because he is, you don't even need to say that Prince is great. You can just say, he was Prince. He walked the walk and talked the talk. He was the man, the myth, the legend. He is a cultural icon, the likes of which that could be said in the same vein as Michael Jackson, over his influence on music and the world entire. And it has been voted that by Minnesota, the Minnesota Chamber of I think the Minnesota lawmakers decided that the official song of their state is going to be Purple Rain. So, do yourself a favor. If you're my fans but you've never heard of Prince, do yourself a favor. His music is out there. Go on YouTube. There are tons of songs out there by Prince. You will find one that you like. Go listen to Diamonds and Pearls if you want to understand what inspired me to write the fic that you guys pester me about getting done. And before you ask in the comments, yes, I'm working on it. It will be done probably by next week. But, yeah, go listen to Prince. Listen to his music. He was so wise, so faithful, and you cannot tell me that he's done anything wrong, because nowadays musicians and artists like Kanye and other people have just in the news more for their troubles than they are for their music. Prince has never been in trouble with the law. He's never had any controversy, never had any scandals. He just was a man who went out there and played music well into his 50s. So go out there and read and look at Prince's stuff. Talk about the charities that he personally championed, about the people he's helped. Listen to the various stories from friends and well-wishers alike about his generosity and his humility. But just remember his spirit. Because as long as we listen to Prince's music and keep his spirit alive, the Purple One will never die. And when the time comes, I'll be glad to show my nephews what I found so awesome about him, because they like music as well. And I hope my brother-in-law teaches them well enough to appreciate good music. But yeah, he was Prince. And that's the best thing you can do.